The story kicks off with Liam opening his eyes at a grand dinner party, unsure of how he ended up there. As Liam looks around, confused, he spots a mirror and realizes he's now in the body of a child. Shocked by this discovery, he screams, drawing the attention of the adults around him. His father, the head of the Hamilton family, feels humiliated by Liam's childish behavior. He sternly reminds Liam that, even though he's the fifth son and considered the least important, he's still a member of the Hamilton family and must act like a noble. Liam stays silent, unable to comprehend who these people are or what's happening. A maid nearby assumes Liam is upset because of the scolding and tries to cheer him up. She explains that Liam's father, the Count of Hamilton, is in a good mood because he recently had a daughter after only having sons. The party is being held to celebrate her birthday. Thinking it's all just a weird dream, he goes to sleep, hoping to wake up back in his old life. However, he wakes up the next morning still in the child's body. Accepting that this is his new reality, Liam dons the attire of a young noble and steps out onto the balcony to take in the Hamilton estate. He is amazed to see the vast lands surrounding the house, which the maid proudly tells him belong to the Hamilton family. As Liam tries to process his situation, his older brother Bruno calls him for a discussion about their newborn sister. Bruno, the fourth son of the family, is just a year older than Liam but acts far more mature. He has already decided that their sister must grow up to be beautiful and marry into the royal family. He believes this is the only way to secure the Hamilton family's future. Bruno explains that the Hamilton family is on the verge of losing its noble status. For 3 generations, the family has failed to achieve anything significant. Their father, the current head, is the 3rd generation leader, and when he retires, someone from the 4th generation will take over. Bruno is convinced they won't accomplish anything by then, so the family's survival depends on their sister's marriage to royalty. He advises Liam to start thinking about their family's future as well. Their conversation is interrupted when their tutor arrives to teach them the basics of magic. Hearing that he'll be learning magic, Liam can't contain his excitement and jumps from his seat, surprising Bruno. Bruno warns Liam not to get his hopes up too high, explaining that only 1 in 100 people have the natural talent for magic. Still, Liam is thrilled, as he never had the chance to learn magic in his previous life as a commoner. Determined to master magic, Liam pays close attention to the tutor. After class, he rushes to a maid and asks to be taken to the library. Once there, he starts searching for books on magic. Picking up a book titled Novice Fire Magic, Liam carefully follows the instructions to cast a spell. To his amazement, he successfully creates a small flame on his index finger. Liam's maid is amazed when he successfully casts a fire spell and congratulates him on his talent. Excited to learn more, Liam approaches his father, the Count, and requests access to grimoires, books of advanced magic from the library. Preoccupied with work and uninterested in his 5th son, the Count dismissively grants Liam permission to study whatever he wants outside the library. Wasting no time, Liam dives into his studies, gathering books and practicing magic. Within a month, he masters a new fire spell called Flame Cutter, even without using a grimoire. Proud of his progress, Liam demonstrates his achievement to his older brother Bruno, who is stunned that Liam learned such a spell on his own in just 1 month. Motivated to keep up, Bruno tries to find shortcuts in his own grimoire, but quickly realizes that Liam has an exceptional natural talent for magic. He advises Liam to continue honing his skills, suggesting that his abilities could bring fame and status to their family. However, Bruno worries Liam might overshadow the rest of the Hamiltons and asks if his goal is to become the next head of the family. Liam reassures him, explaining that he's only studying magic as a hobby and has no desire to compete for leadership. With his novice fire spells mastered, Liam sets his sights on learning novice ice spells. News of his progress reaches his father, who finally shows some interest in him. Skeptical, the Count asks Liam to demonstrate his magic. Liam freezes a book with ice magic, but his father is unimpressed, thinking it's too basic. To prove himself, Liam reveals that he mastered all novice fire spells in just 1 month. Hearing this, the Count's attitude shifts. He bursts into laughter, declaring that their family has finally been blessed. Encouraged, he tells Liam to keep learning and offers him access to more grimoires if needed. For the first time, Liam feels supported by his father, which motivates him to improve further. Later, as Liam prepares to practice magic in the woods, the Count is informed of troubling news by a butler. Unaware of the situation, Liam heads to the forest and encounters a mysterious man in a white coat sitting under a tree. The man asks if Liam is one of the Hamilton sons. When Liam confirms, the man cryptically tells him to capture him, then dismisses it and changes the subject to magic. Intrigued by Liam's interest in novice magic, the man offers to teach him a more efficient method. He demonstrates by casting 5 spells at once, impressing Liam, who eagerly asks for lessons. Pleased by Liam's humility and lack of noble arrogance, the man agrees to teach him. The man shows Liam how to cast magic circles with both hands simultaneously. Liam quickly picks up the technique and progresses to attempting 3 magic circles at once. But he struggles to execute the spell due to insufficient magical power. Despite this, the man is highly impressed by Liam's talent. Then the man reveals that he can cast up to 16 spells at once. Regretting that he doesn't have more time to teach Liam, he gifts him a special ring. The ring, called a Magicpedia, is a magical artifact containing the knowledge of hundreds of grimoires, giving Liam access to a treasure trove of magical techniques. As Liam slips the mysterious ring onto his finger, a flood of magical spells flows into his mind, allowing him to learn and use them at will. He quickly masters a wind attack spell. However, just as he begins to grasp the ring's potential, the mysterious man disappears. Moments later, Liam's maid finds him and warns him about a suspicious intruder on the estate. She hands Liam a book on novice summoning magic from Mr. Hamilton, then heads back inside. To Liam's surprise, the man reappears, revealing he had merely hidden from the maid. The man explains he doesn't have much time left but wants to teach Liam one last spell. He asks Liam to pick a summoning spell from the book, and Liam selects a spell to summon a salamander, a low-level fire spirit. Following the man's guidance and using the ring, Liam successfully summons the salamander, but it's immediately absorbed into the ring. The man explains that the ring functions like an infinite grimoire, storing spells and techniques for future use. Understanding its value, Liam offers to return the ring, but the man brushes it off as nothing special, saying it merely saves the hassle of carrying heavy books. Liam continues experimenting with the summoning spells in the book, mastering them quickly. When he turns to thank the man, he finds him gone, leaving only a message on the ground. "Keep studying magic, and don't tell anyone about our meeting." Though their time together was brief, Liam considers the man his master and feels grateful for his teachings. A month passes and Liam combines his fire and summoning magic to create a functional furnace. Using this, he produces white charcoal and even manages to craft LaCroix crystals, which restore magical power. When Bruno visits and sees Liam's progress, including a bag full of LaCroix crystals, he is stunned by his younger brother's talent. Liam explains that he made the crystals by using 5 types of magic at once, showcasing his impressive skills. Bruno, proud but concerned, advises Liam to think about independence. He shares a piece of family history. Their father had sent a large force to fight a sealed monster in a distant land, hoping to save the family. The mission ended in a crushing defeat, leaving only a handful of survivors. Bruno believes their father and eldest brother Albervit will stop at nothing to retain their noble status, even dragging Liam into their schemes. To avoid this, Bruno encourages Liam to seek independence, starting with earning his own money. Liam sells his white charcoal for a pouch of gold coins and treats himself to a bowl of ramen. Inspired by the meal, he decides to introduce ramen culture to the Hamilton household. Using an ice spirit, he dehydrates noodles to create instant ramen and teaches the family chef how to prepare it. Seeing its potential, Liam plans to turn instant ramen into a business. He pitches his idea to a local trader, but the trader refuses, explaining that only the family's eldest son, Albrevit, has the authority to conduct business. Frustrated, Liam leaves the shop, only to discover that Albrevit had been watching him from the shadows. Jealous of Liam's growing skills, Albrevet declares he will no longer allow his younger brother to act freely. Undeterred, Liam returns home and uses a spell from the ring to create a dimensional storage system for his goods. Determined to continue his work in secret, he uses an unconventional summoning spell to create a clone of himself. This duplicate will stay at the Hamilton mansion to keep up appearances while Liam ventures to the far lands to sell his goods and chase his ambitions. Liam arrives at the Hunters Guild on the advice of his eldest brother, Albrevet. As he steps inside, he notices the guild is just as lively and rough as he had heard. The hunters give him curious, mocking glances, wondering what a kid like him is doing there. Ignoring their comments, Liam confidently approaches a fierce-looking man, guessing he's the guildmaster. When Liam asks, the man confirms his identity and says Albrevet had informed him of Liam's visit. Before proceeding, the guildmaster decides to test Liam's abilities to place him in the appropriate rank. He asks Liam to cast an attack spell and even allows him to recite it slowly, assuming Liam is a beginner. Determined to prove himself, Liam doesn't hold back. He fires multiple magic blasts around the guildmaster's head with pinpoint accuracy, leaving the man in shock. The other hunters, watching in disbelief, are stunned by Liam's raw power. The guildmaster, though impressed, keeps his composure and places Liam in the B rank. As Liam leads the guild, he examines his B rank tag, wondering if it's good enough. While lost in thought, a cheerful girl named Asuna approaches him. Introducing herself, she suggests forming a party since hunting alone is dangerous. Flattered by her beauty, Liam quickly agrees. They shake hands to seal their partnership and set off together. While walking, Liam notices they didn't accept any hunting jobs from the guild. Asuna explains that only A-rank hunters and above can take official assignments. B-rank hunters like them must find monsters independently and bring their remains back to the guild for rewards. Before they can discuss further, a pack of monstrous werewolves ambushes them. With no escape, Asuna panics, but regains her courage when Liam uses magic to overwhelm the wolves by summoning self-growing magical objects into their mouths. The distraction leaves the wolves vulnerable, and Asuna delivers the finishing blows. After defeating 42 werewolves, they return to the guild, shocking the hunters and guildmaster with their accomplishment. The guildmaster is so impressed he offers them their first official mission, to hunt down a giant caterpillar monster threatening an important visitor's arrival. Excited about their first job, Asuna celebrates, but Liam is more concerned about the magical stones inside monsters that make them tougher to fight. When they face the caterpillar monster, they struggle to defeat it, exhausting themselves. Liam uses every spell he knows, but nothing works. Frustrated, he feels powerless, while Asuna grows disappointed that their first mission isn't going as planned. In the heat of the moment, Asuna jokes that it would take a meteor to kill the monster. Inspired, Liam devises a plan. He uses Asuna as bait to lure the caterpillar to an empty area, then summons a massive boulder from his item box to crush the creature. The strategy works, and they take down not just one, but 2 caterpillar monsters. When they return to the guild, carrying the defeated monsters, everyone is stunned. The guildmaster is amazed by their efficiency, while other hunters are left questioning their own skills. Asuna seizes the moment to negotiate a higher reward, arguing that their quick work saved the town from disaster. Impressed by her reasoning, the guildmaster agrees to pay 5 times the original reward, leaving Asuna thrilled while Liam remains indifferent. Later that day, the important visitor arrives. While the townsfolk greet him, Liam's eldest brother, Albrevet, approaches to commend Liam on his success. Albrevet encourages him to keep up the good work before leaving. Watching him go, Asuna assumes Albrevet is probably rude, and Liam agrees, noting that his brother has always treated him as a nuisance. As the visitor passes through the crowd, his gaze falls on Liam. Liam meets the important guest, who introduces himself as James Stanley. When Liam introduces himself, James immediately recognizes the name and mentions that he knows Liam's father. However, his attention quickly shifts to the ring Liam is wearing, asking how Liam got it, since it belongs to someone he knows. James jokingly accuses Liam of stealing it, but when Liam explains that Raymond was his teacher, James calms down. Intrigued, James begins asking about Liam's time training under Raymond, finding the stories amusing. Curious about Liam's strength, James arranges a test. He calls over his acquaintance Simon and asks Liam to use his best attack spell against him. For the first time, Liam decides to recite an incantation, remembering that it can make spells more effective. Using the names of his favorite singers as an incantation, Liam launches magic missiles at Simon. Though Simon initially defends himself with the barrier, Liam's spell breaks through, leaving Simon unconscious. Impressed, James praises Liam's potential and decides to knight him, granting him independence from his family. Later that day, James officially makes Liam a knight. He hopes this title will help Liam step out of his brother's shadow. During their conversation, James asks Liam if he's ever been pranked by Raymond, whom he knows to be a mischievous teacher. Liam recalls a peculiar graduation gift from Raymond, 100 kg of gold dust hidden in a lake, requiring him to perfect his item box skill to retrieve it, and picking up the dust it is robbed. James immediately suspects the gold was a decoy and the real gift might still be hidden. Taking this advice, Liam returns to the lake, uses his item box to drain the water, and discovers a hidden door beneath the dry lake bed. Inside, he finds a letter and a maximum-leveled grimoire, which Raymond reveals is the true graduation gift. Determined to unlock the grimoire's secrets, Liam spends hours practicing the spells inside. After much trial and error, he successfully casts a spell that creates a massive mirror. Stepping through it, he discovers an alternate dimension, a space that grows larger as he becomes more powerful. Unlike an item box, this space can hold living beings, opening up endless possibilities. A month later, Liam and Asuna face a giant frog monster. Liam's fire salamander spells prove useless, and the frog prepares a deadly lightning attack. In a desperate move, Liam uses his alternate dimension to protect himself and Asuna. Once the frog tires out, Asuna finishes it off. They take the magic stone back to the guild, impressing the guildmaster with their teamwork, though he gives most of the credit to Liam. This annoys Asuna, who wishes she could be as strong as Liam. The guildmaster suggests she become Liam's familiar, which would allow her powers to grow alongside his. Excited by the idea, Asuna agrees, even jokingly saying she wouldn't mind if Liam used the bond to boss her around. The guildmaster performs the ritual, and Asuna kisses the back of Liam's hand, sealing the contract. She instantly gains new powers, including incredible speed. Curious about the familiar contract's potential, Liam decides to test it on someone else. Asuna introduces him to Jody, who also becomes a familiar and gains healing abilities through cooking. Days later, James invites Liam to his mansion and informs him that Princess Scarlet is coming to town. He reveals that Liam's achievements have caught the princess's attention and she wishes to see his familiars demonstrate their abilities. Liam, however, refuses, saying it would be disrespectful to treat his friends as objects of spectacle. Unbeknownst to Liam, the princess has been disguised as a maid and overhears everything. She is confident that Liam wouldn't dare refuse her in person. If you've enjoyed this recap, let us know your thoughts on Liam's incredible journey and powers in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. The next day, Liam is dropped off at Scarlet Sherry's mansion, realizing how important she is when he sees the army of guards stationed at her door. Inside the throne room, Scarlet skips pleasantries and immediately asks Liam how he managed to kill carnivorous caterpillars and a giant frog. Liam doesn't mind sharing and explains his methods. Scarlet is shocked and impressed. Someone defeating a giant frog without high-level magic is unheard of. She even checks with James Stanley, who confirms it's unusual since powerful magic is the go-to. Scarlet then changes the subject, asking to see Liam's familiars. Feeling the weight of her authority, Liam still declines, saying he won't put his companions on display for anyone. Scarlet's smile disappears and she questions his boldness. Liam holds his ground, and Scarlet, amused by his guts, laughs and rewards him with the title of Baron. Liam is confused, saying he hasn't done anything to deserve it. Scarlet brushes it off, saying entertaining her twice is enough, and it's better than marrying him off to her daughter. She also hands him a familiar contract grimoire, which makes Liam ridiculously happy. Scarlet is intrigued by how much he values the book over the noble title. Later, Liam examines his new grimoire and realizes he has a lot to master. If he doesn't keep the book close, his familiar contracts could dissolve. His brother Bruno shows up to celebrate Liam's promotion to Baron, joking that their father, Albervet, must be fuming. Liam's title is higher than their dad's now, making him more valuable in the eyes of the kingdom. Meanwhile, Albervet is annoyed, overhearing maids gossiping about Liam's accomplishments. He confronts them, asking who they think is better, him or Liam. Terrified, the maids tell him he's the best. Albervet storms off, determined to achieve something big, because if Liam can do it, surely he can too. The next morning, the kingdom's men are mesmerized by the beauty of Liam's familiars. Jody calls him master, but Liam insists on being called by his name. Despite his protests, Asuna points out that Liam acts very much like a master. Jody takes the opportunity to admit that being around Liam makes her heart race, leaving the men drooling over the familiars absolutely furious. Liam then asks Jody and Asuna if they're ready to form a team. They agree, sealing the deal with a handshake. Later in the forest, Jody hits a wolf with an arrow, while Asuna takes down another with her sword. Liam compliments Asuna's improved movements, making her smile. Jody notices her vision has improved dramatically, which is a huge advantage for an archer. Hearing this, Liam casts a development spell on Jody, further enhancing her sight. Asuna asks for a similar upgrade, but Liam explains that boosting her attack power would strain her body. Like punching something so hard you break your own bones. Vision upgrades, however, are fine. Asuna happily agrees, and Jody tests her enhanced eyesight by landing an incredible long-distance shot. The familiars praise Liam for his magic skills, giving him all the credit. By late afternoon, the trio heads back to the Hunters Guild, only to stumble upon a commotion. Asuna asks a nearby man what's going on, and he explains that Albervet, Liam's older brother, messed up big time. Another voice chimes in, shouting that Albervet broke the seal but failed miserably afterward. Liam remembers his brother's smug warning to wait and see, so he figures this disaster is partly his fault and bolts out of the guild to fix things. In the forest, chaos is everywhere. Injured soldiers are being dragged out, and Liam spots his brother looking battered. When Liam approaches to check on him, Albervet freaks out, screaming that he won't fail, but the guildmaster smacks him on the back and orders him removed, saying he's done tolerating this pointless sibling rivalry. Liam steps up, insisting he's responsible for the mess, but the guildmaster shuts him down, saying it's not his fault. Asuna asks what's causing the chaos, and the guildmaster drops the bombshell. The demon dragon Raiden was sealed nearby. Liam's great-grandfather sealed the beast, but now the seal's broken. To make matters worse, Raiden's little dragon babies are causing havoc. The adult dragon is still regaining its strength and won't be at full power for a few weeks, but they need to reseal it before it wakes up fully. Suddenly, 3 dragon hatchlings appear next to their father, wreaking even more havoc. Asuna scoffs, thinking these dog-sized dragons are no big deal, and charges at one. Big mistake. The baby dragon spits fire, instantly melting a tree and making Asuna retreat real quick. Liam tries his 7 magic missiles, but the dragons easily counter with their fire. Realizing they're outmatched, Jody yells for everyone to retreat. Liam tells Asuna to grab Jody and sprint out of there while he stays behind. He pulls out his item box, summons his broom wire, and starts chanting, "Amelia, Amelia, Claudia." A portal to another world appears, and Liam hurls the dragons inside. Exhausted but alive, he collapses to catch his breath. The Guildmaster approaches, impressed that Liam managed to deal with the Raiden Juniors. Meanwhile, Kingdom Mages arrive to start resealing the big dragon. Asuna and Jody return and ask Liam about the spell he used. Liam explains it's called Another World, a super tricky enchantment that creates an alternate space where living creatures can be trapped. He admits it's not perfect yet. Anything he traps eventually disappears on its own. Asuna praises his clever thinking, calling it a genius move. Suddenly, a voice booms out of nowhere, calling Liam the tiny human with a great soul. Before he knows it, Liam finds himself face to face with the demon dragon Raiden. Raiden, unimpressed by human labels, asks Liam about the great soul thing. Liam tries to play it cool, calling himself an ordinary human, but Raiden isn't buying it. He points out that Liam's body and soul don't align, hinting that he knows Liam is an adult stuck in a kid's body. Liam panics internally, but Raiden casually reads his thoughts. The dragon admits he doesn't know why Liam is like this, but finds his life fascinating. Raiden promises not to harm Liam and offers his strength to help him grow, but only just enough to make sure Liam earns his power through his own efforts. Liam didn't think twice before accepting Raiden's offer. The dragon didn't seem hostile, so why not? Raiden announced he'd be borrowing Liam's soul for a while and entered his body. Immediately after, Asuna pointed out something odd on Liam's hand. A red mark had appeared. The guildmaster figured Liam had absorbed the demon dragon, and Liam could feel a crazy surge of power within himself. Naturally, Liam decided to test this newfound power. He fired some magic missiles into the air, and, to his shock, 11 came out without him even chanting. That had never happened before. Intrigued, he tried again with a full incantation, and this time, 17 missiles appeared, all perfectly controlled. While Liam was geeking out over his magic upgrade, other mages around him started looking drained. Raiden chimed in from inside his head, telling Liam to chill out and contain his mana, as it was accidentally sapping the energy of nearby sorcerers. Asuna and Jody, however, seemed completely unaffected, possibly because they were connected to Liam as his familiars. The guildmaster, still wrapping his head around everything, thanked Liam for taking care of the demon dragon. Liam, ever the considerate guy, pulled out his item box and dumped 10 kilograms of gold dust on the ground, offering it as compensation for everyone's troubles. He made sure a big chunk of it went to those injured in the battle. The guildmaster joked that if Liam were the head of the Hamilton family instead of his brother Albravet, life would be so much better. Later that night, Liam's father Charles expressed his gratitude for cleaning up the mess Albravet had caused. When Liam asked about his brother's fate, Charles said Albravet would be confined at home for a while. Liam realized it could have been worse. His brother could have been expelled. Charles added that Lord James was still in town, and that word of Liam's success would soon spread across the nation. Liam would likely be rewarded. Despite the praise, Liam couldn't shake the guilt he felt over Albravet's actions. He stood outside his brother's room, wanting to say something, but not knowing what. Inside, Albravet was throwing a tantrum, screaming that the Hamilton family was ruined because Liam had defeated the demon dragon, a task that should have been his. Hearing this, Liam decided to leave, realizing that deep down, Albravet really did care about protecting their family name. That night, Liam had a weird dream about practicing magic he didn't recognize. When he woke up, he was so excited that he ran to his usual training spot in the forest to try it out. The first spell gave off vibes similar to another world, and after hours of practice, he managed to summon a Raiden Jr. dragon. Suddenly, Princess Scarlet appeared, catching him in the act. She was impressed by the sacred magic he had used and awarded him the third-class Phoenix insignia, a badge given to new heroes who accomplish incredible feats, like defeating a demon dragon. But there was a catch. To make it official, Scarlet needed Liam to tell the whole story for the record. Liam recounted everything, but for some reason the princess told him to keep the story under wraps and not share it with anyone else. The next day, Liam received a hefty reward of 3,000 gold coins from Scarlet. He figured the princess wanted to buy his silence about the whole dragon ordeal. The next day, young Liam found himself in a tough spot when James Stanley strolled up and asked if he'd mastered the fine art of sacred magic. Scarlet had clearly paid him well to keep quiet, because he looked like a deer caught in headlights, struggling to come up with an answer. James, ever the sharp observer, commented on Liam's suspicious silence and how the hefty reward Scarlet gave him only made things seem fishier. Defeating that demon dragon had already turned Liam into a rising star, even earning him a spot among the nobility. Normally, Scarlet would have gone back to the capital to report everything to the king, but she hadn't, which only fueled James's suspicion further. Then James dropped another bomb. Witnesses claimed the massive demon dragon had turned into light and been absorbed by Liam. At this point, Liam knew he couldn't hide the truth any longer. He threw his hands up and admitted he'd picked up a few sacred magic tricks. James, knowing he had the boy cornered, told him to prove it. So Liam summoned a beginner spell called All Clear, a handy little spell that wiped out all evils, including poison and petrification. Seeing this, James couldn't help but marvel at the power of sacred magic, calling it the work of God. He then took the opportunity to give Liam a quick history lesson about the War of the Three Dragons. Long ago, 3 dragons fought a huge war, and one emerged victorious thanks to sacred magic. That dragon teamed up with a human to create the kingdom of Jamil, the same kingdom they all lived in today. With Raiden now buddying up to Liam, James couldn't help but think Liam might be recreating the kingdom's founding myth. But James had 2 big concerns. First, Liam's friends in the Hamilton family got their noble title by claiming they'd sealed a demon dragon. If it turned out that this dragon wasn't a threat but actually the kingdom's founder, the Hamiltons could kiss their noble status goodbye. Second, if the dragon got angry about being falsely imprisoned, it might decide to torch the whole kingdom for fun. Liam, thinking back to something Raiden once said, assured James there was no need to worry. Raiden didn't care about the labels humans slapped on him and had no plans for revenge against humanity. In fact, Raiden seemed genuinely interested in Liam's life, which made James start to believe Liam could truly be the kingdom's savior. Later, Liam decided to practice activating slower spells, figuring they'd be useful someday. But when he returned to town, chaos erupted. His friends practically ambushed him at the guild, and adventurers swarmed him like he was a rock star. Jody proudly announced that she'd spread the word about his dragon-slaying heroics, which had people lining up to work with him. Asuna handed him a ridiculously long list of potential team members, warning that most of them just wanted to ride his coattails. Feeling overwhelmed, Liam headed home, only to find something even crazier waiting for him. Hundreds of marriage proposals. Bruno teased him about being late to the marriage game and even handed him a proposal from a relative of his fiance's family. Bruno couldn't help but ask what Liam had done to become this popular. Liam shrugged and said, "I just defeated a demon dragon." But Bruno wasn't buying it, insisting there had to be more to it. Liam started to suspect James's suspicions were right. People were doubting his story. Still, he couldn't help but marvel at how popular he'd become since taking on the role of a noble. Liam showed his friends a cool spell called Otherworld. He opened a portal to a house he had stored in his item box, which had been built by the city's carpenters. Asuna, impressed, asked if the house would disappear when he deactivated the spell. Liam explained that it used to, but now he had mastered the spell, so it stayed intact. They explored the cozy house, amazed at how practical it was to carry a fully furnished home wherever they went. But Joby asked if there was any way to have proper lighting in this alternate space. Liam admitted it was tough to sleep there, since there wasn't any concept of night or day. Joby then asked if it was possible to make everything dark. Liam, trying to show off a bit, summoned a low-level shadow spirit named Shade to cover the space in darkness. At first, it turned pitch black, making everyone feel like they'd walked into a cave. To fix it, Liam conjured a fire salamander to light the fireplace. Joby asked if it could be brighter, but Shade, being a low-level spirit, wasn't exactly equipped for that. Asunu joked that it'd be nice if spirits could grow like humans, which gave Liam the idea to use a familiar contract spell on Shade. As soon as he cast the spell, Shade grew in size, gained a voice, and thanked Liam for giving him the chance to level up. Now a medium-level spirit, Shade adjusted the space's lighting, creating a perfectly balanced, natural darkness. Feeling grateful, Shade promised to serve Liam with absolute loyalty. Liam admitted he hadn't yet learned medium-level spirit summoning spells, but Shade, now smarter and sassier, pointed out that Liam's ancient artifact ring could store such spells. It just needed practice to master. Taking the advice, Liam got to work. He managed to store Shade in the ring and evolved his fire spirit, who proudly named himself Udfrit. Not stopping there, Liam went full overachiever and used the familiar spell to evolve spirits of water, earth, wind, light, and ice. Each one was upgraded and stored in his ring. Excited by his new powers, Liam decided to push his luck. The next day, Raiden sent him to the forest to check the dragon's resting area. Following the instructions, Liam summoned one of Raiden's offspring, a little dragon hatchling, which promptly distorted reality around them. Suddenly, the normal forest turned into a magical fairyland. Flowers bloomed everywhere, Fairies fluttered around and then panicked the moment they spotted Liam. Liam quickly explained he wasn't there to cause trouble and used the hatchling as proof that he was sent by Raiden. The fairies, seeing the little dragon, finally calmed down. Liam added that Raiden himself had asked him to protect them, earning their trust. Apparently, fairy wings were highly sought after for crafting magical artifacts, which made fairies easy targets. Without Raiden's protective barrier, they would have been wiped out ages ago. Now it was Liam's job to keep them safe. He decided to use a spell to solidify their protection, and Raiden chimed in, suggesting Liam name the fairies during the process. Naming, according to Raiden, was like a magical cheat code. By naming one fairy Reina, Liam not only made her his familiar but also evolved her into an elf. Raiden explained that naming during a contract amplified the magic, producing a stronger result. Taking the hint, Liam named all the fairies, evolving them into elves, who started calling him Lord Messenger. Reina, now in charge, asked what they should do as his familiars. Liam, thinking on his feet, suggested they build a village to live in, appointing her as the village chief. The elves got to work, though their attempts at construction were, let's just say, not great. As Liam checked on their progress, he sensed mana coming from deeper in the forest. Following it, he found a glowing fruit on a tree. Reina explained it was fairy nectar, a super concentrated form of mana that the fairies had gathered. Reina encouraged Liam to eat it, and when he did, his mana was fully restored. Testing it out, Liam summoned 19 magic missiles, way above his previous limit. The next day, he returned to the village to check on the elves. Reina greeted him as Lord Messenger again, but Liam, not into fancy titles, told her to just call him Liam. The elves, trying their best, had built some houses, but the results were hilariously bad. Because, surprise, none of them were carpenters. As they laughed at the lopsided homes, they heard a scream. An elf was being attacked by bandits looking to plunder whatever was left after the demon dragon's defeat. Liam rushed in, blasting one thug with magic missiles and doubling the output when more came at him. The bandits didn't stand a chance. After the fight, Liam realized the area was too dangerous to leave the elves unprotected. He thought about moving them to his other world, but the space seemed too small for all of them. Then he noticed something strange. The other world had grown larger, likely thanks to the fairy nectar he'd eaten. Using his upgraded spell, Liam teleported the elves to the expanded otherworld, where they'd be safe from bandits. Overwhelmed by his kindness, the elves knelt before him and asked him to become their king. Liam explained he couldn't become king for several reasons, but he agreed to help the elves and make sure they were taken care of. Already feeling the weight of responsibility, he started thinking about where they could live. A few days later, he whipped up an extra-large pot of pasta to feed everyone while practicing a new high-level holy spell Raiden had taught him. The problem? He'd been at it for 4 days and still couldn't get the spell to work. But Liam was nothing if not persistent, and eventually he pulled it off. Raiden, impressed with his determination, explained that all Liam needed to do now was imagine his destination. Liam confirmed his spell's accuracy by teleporting a copy of himself to the location. Then he got bold and teleported the entire elf group 100 kilometers away to a place called the Sealed Lands. When they arrived, Raiden told Liam to raise his hand with the crest, which broke the illusion seal. Suddenly, a stunning field appeared, perfect for founding a new nation with the elves. Before starting anything grand, though, they needed water. Liam summoned Windine, the water spirit, and used a familiar contract to evolve her powers. Windine, now upgraded, created a flowing river for the elves to build their lives around. Next, Liam worked on his Raiden Jr.'s summoning magic, reducing the activation time and using Lecro crystals to recover the mana he spent. He also trained extensively with teleportation until he finally mastered it, making it instant. Feeling pretty proud of himself, Liam left the Raiden Jr.'s to protect the elf village while he handled other business. Soon, Princess Scarlet paid him a visit. She wanted to know if the dragon had said anything about a promised land. Liam admitted that Raiden had mentioned the Sealed Lands, but nothing specific about humans. Scarlet wasn't satisfied and asked Liam to take her there. Liam agreed, but had a small favor to ask first. Enter Golak, the court engineer. Liam, ever the practical one, used a familiar contract to create a copy of Golak to help with building the elf village. Once that was sorted, Liam teleported Scarlet to the Sealed Lands. Scarlet thought it looked like Galar Valley, but Liam explained it wasn't. Raiden had cast a spell to make it appear that way. Scarlet, still convinced this was the promised land from legend, recalled the prophecy about humanity being saved from collapse and brought to paradise. She pulled out a royal relic called the Key of Destiny, a ring that accidentally activated and caused the land to levitate. With this discovery, Scarlet was sure they had found the promised land. She bowed to Liam, calling him the master of this paradise, and begged him to create a new nation, a utopia for everyone. And that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. The next day, Liam's territory was coming together thanks to a seasoned engineer from the royal court. Meanwhile, Liam was busy leveling up, now able to cast 17 magic missiles at once, along with a holy spear that caused major damage to enemies. With all this power, the young man easily cleared the area of monsters. Liam noticed Scarlet and asked, "What are you doing here?" Scarlet, impressed by his abilities, insisted he call her by her name, not Your Highness. After all, she was now his servant, not the other way around. Liam, ever the gentleman, said it was too grand for someone of her status. Scarlet, though, reminded him that dragon blood ran through her veins, and women from her bloodline often married royalty. She wanted to serve Raiden, the dragon god. Raiden then told Liam they needed to travel north for something Scarlet would love. They found a mysterious ruin with a guardian modeled after a god. Raiden explained that humans had to defeat it. Liam asked how, and Raiden said the secret was in the ancient language written on the guardian's head. If Liam erased one letter, the inscription would change to Obey. Scarlet pointed out that it was the second letter from the right. Liam wasted no time erasing it, making the dragon obedient to Scarlet. She decided to oversee the beast's recovery, since Liam's magic had injured it. As Liam left the ruins, he was still getting used to the idea of a princess serving him. Raiden thought it was time for Liam to gain enough power to feel worthy. Back in the village, Liam was shocked to find the place nearly destroyed. Elves told him that werewolves had attacked. When the werewolves showed up, demanding outsiders leave or face destruction, Liam tried to talk, but before he could, they attacked. The werewolf leader lunged, but Liam dodged and used a shock spell to freeze the wolf. Liam tried to reason with them, summoning a mini Raiden for backup. The werewolves were stunned, knowing they were a clan that protected Raiden's followers. Realizing they had hurt the land of Raiden's people, they felt guilty. Raiden suggested the werewolves sign a loyalty contract with Liam. Liam didn't quite understand all of this, but agreed to continue the game. The werewolves agreed, and to everyone's surprise, their leader, Chris, turned out to be a woman when she evolved into a mix of human and wolf. With the werewolves joining the team, village construction sped up. Liam wanted to speed things up with magic, and Raiden taught him how to create his own spells. Liam got to work and invented a spell that made objects regenerate. The spell amazed the wolves, and Raiden praised Liam's creativity. Next, Liam focused on creating powerful spells, evolving his magic missiles into power missiles. Raiden urged him to keep building his nation so he could learn even more about the world. Curious, Liam asked Raiden who was the first person to create magic, and Raiden laughed, finding Liam amusing. Suddenly, Rhiannon burst in, announcing that humans were attacking the fairies. Liam rushed to the scene and found mounted knights demanding to know if Liam lived there. He remembered his responsibility and declared the area was his nation. The knights mocked him, but Liam sent them packing with his 17 power missiles. He demanded they never return. On his way back, Liam learned the fairies were seeking protection after their village had been attacked. So, Liam made contracts with the fairies, getting a lot of new help for his village. Back at his home, Scarlet identified the helmet of a knight Liam had defeated. It belonged to the Duchy of Palta, one of the bordering regions. This could mean more soldiers would come from there. Scarlet insisted they needed a nation with land, population, and power. Liam already had land and a growing population, but power was still something to work on. Chris promised to protect the territory, while Scarlet told Liam to keep driving away invaders. It was better to be on their side than their enemy. However, just after this meeting, something unexpected happened that turned everything upside down. So, Marcus from Jamil, a noble guy named Leonardo Berkeley, rolls in with some big news. The king, Lorenzo Toussaint, wants to make an alliance with Liam, and if Liam agrees, the king's offering up Princess Scarlet as his bride. Liam's not exactly sure how to react, so he quickly whips up a telepathy spell and checks with Scarlet. He tells her not to freak out, but he wants her opinion on this whole marriage proposal thing. Scarlet, Tickle One, says, why not? Even if their intentions aren't pure, just marrying her would give them a solid 6 months to figure things out. Liam agrees, but asks for a year to build up his nation and prove to the king of Jamil that he's making the right call. Leonardo heads off to let the king know, and Liam's next move is a bit wild. He teleports to Scarlet's mansion in the royal capital, which, according to him, is even fancier than Hamilton's. He had asked Scarlet to bring his illusion there first, and the illusion does its job, bringing the real Liam along and disappearing once he's safely inside. Scarlet arrives and wonders if the Liam before her is the real deal. After some confirmation, she welcomes him. As they approach the entrance, Liam picks up on a faint presence. It's Raiden, or rather, a trace of his power. He asks if anything here could date back to the time of the dragon god. Scarlet leads him to a chapel dedicated to Raiden, where there's a statue that's been passed down through her family. Raiden then speaks up and asks Liam to cast the all-clear spell on the statue. Liam does, and the statue suddenly turns into light, entering Scarlet's body, giving her the power to summon a holy spear. However, the magic takes a toll, and she collapses, utterly drained. Raiden explains that what she's just experienced is a magical armor he created, a super powerful suit that can let humans wield the dragon god's power. This one's called the Golden Armor, and it's the most powerful of the 3 armors Raiden made. Too bad the other 2 were lost in the war. Liam, not satisfied with just hearing about it, wants to know how to make one. Raiden tells him they need high mithril, and luckily for Liam, Scarlet has some on hand. They get to work, and soon they create a new armor. Scarlet has to form a contract with the statue by spilling some of her blood on it, and when she does, the magic armor envelops her. Now feeling a lot stronger, Scarlet tests out her new powers by launching a holy arrow, which totally wrecks some trees. Raiden explains that high-level magical artifacts are like living creatures, similar to demon swords and fairy blades. Intrigued, Liam decides to create a familiar contract with the armor, naming it Ares, the war commander. Now feeling even more powerful, Scarlet decides to throw a holy spear in the yard, and yep, more trees are obliterated. Raiden mentions that during the 3 Dragons War he had made a similar artifact, the Guardian Raiden, but never thought to make it a familiar. Liam's like, hey, can I try something with the Guardian? Raiden agrees, so Liam heads to the statue, does a little blood ritual, and bam, he seals the deal with the Guardian and equips it as armor. The result? Liam is absolutely overflowing with power, summoning 37 magical projectiles at once. However, the armor burns through all his mana and reverts back to being a statue. Raiden shares that Liam is the 3rd person to survive donning this armor, and the 1st to cast a spell while wearing it. Seeing Liam's potential, Raiden's pretty convinced that, with this kid's abilities, the entire world could soon be his to control. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Liam told the princess he'd be heading back to the village while she stayed in the royal capital to keep an eye on things in the promised land. With a flick of his magic, he teleported himself home and sent Scarlet back to the capital in the same way. Because hey, magic makes travel a breeze. Back in the village, the people were working hard, but still had smiles on their faces. The first phase of construction was complete, which was great news. But Reina, the ever-helpful fairy, had more updates. There were trolls nearby. Big, 3-meter-tall mountains of muscle. Some trolls were peaceful, but these ones? Not so much. And with humans moving closer, a fight seemed inevitable. Reina suggested recruiting them for the upcoming war, and Liam, always up for a challenge, asked where to find them. A quick teleport later, Liam stood in a barren land that had once been lush and green. He picked up an iron ore stone, noting that while the place looked dead, it was full of hidden treasures. Before he could explore further, a group of trolls appeared, glaring at him like he was an unwanted salesman at their front door. Liam wasted no time and got straight to the point. He was building a nation and wanted them to join. The troll leader, however, had trust issues. Humans, he claimed, were nothing but trouble, and he wasn't interested. Liam tried to reason with him, mentioning that the fairies and werewolves were already on board, but the chief wasn't in the mood for small talk. Instead, he slammed his club into the ground, creating a crater that nearly turned Liam into a pancake. Dodging for his life, Liam quickly realized that this troll wasn't just strong, he was legendary. And unfortunately, running around like a headless chicken wasn't a long-term strategy. Just as he was about to make a move, his foot got caught in a crevice. The troll chief smirked, knowing he had lured Liam into a trap. With a massive swing, the club came down, and for a moment, it seemed like the fight was over. But nope. Liam emerged from the rubble, his guardian raid armor glowing, completely unharmed. The troll chief looked stunned, but that wasn't the worst of it. As he glanced around, he realized he had accidentally injured his own allies in his reckless attempt to crush Liam. And to make matters worse, Liam admitted that he had intentionally not dodged the last attack. He wanted to protect the other trolls. This left the troll chief speechless. Maybe humans weren't all liars after all. Seeing Liam's kindness, he agreed to listen. Meanwhile, Liam was starting to think these trolls weren't as violent as Raina had warned. They just had trust issues. Like a cat that's been tricked into a vet visit one too many times. The chief wanted to know why Liam was so interested in them. Liam explained that the village was growing and that trolls could play a crucial role. More importantly, if they stayed isolated, humans would eventually invade and the trolls wouldn't stand a chance. Liam didn't want that to happen. After considering his words, the chief agreed to visit the village before making any decisions. With that, Liam teleported the entire group, and the trolls, who had never experienced magic like this before, were left completely speechless. Safe to say, they were in for a wild ride. Chris suddenly appeared, pointing an accusing finger at the troll chief. "What's this brute doing here?" she demanded. The chief flinched, recognizing her immediately. "The boar woman," he muttered. That was the wrong thing to say. Chris's face turned red, not from embarrassment, but pure rage. "I told you to stop calling me that," she roared. Then, with the grace of a warrior and the fury of a woman scorned, she launched a flying kick straight into the troll's chest, knocking him flat on his back. Liam, blinking at the unexpected takedown, asked, what exactly is your history with him?" Cree folded her arms. "Beats me. Ever since I met this guy, we've just been fighting non-stop. It's like a bad romance, minus the romance." Liam raised an eyebrow. "So? How many times have you fought?" 378 losses for me, 307 wins, but who's counting?" she admitted, before eyeing the fallen chief with suspicion. "But why did he go down so easily? He used to be way tougher." Liam smirked. "Oh, he's not weaker. You're just stronger now, thanks to the familiar pack." Chris grinned smugly. Well, looks like I'm the last cookie in the jar now." Then, with a wicked glint in her eye, she turned to the troll chief. "Hey, big guy, you lost, which means you owe me a favor. And that favor is signing a familiar contract with Liam." The chief grumbled, but after seeing how strong Chris had become, he agreed. Liam initiated the contract and gave him a name. As soon as the pact was formed, Guy's body transformed. He became more human-like, slightly smaller in size, but his power skyrocketed. Chris, ever the battle junkie, immediately pounced on the opportunity. "Round 2, let's go!" This time, Guy was faster, his reflexes sharper. He deflected her attacks with ease, his punches powerful enough to send someone 6 feet under. Literally. Their duel, though playful, was intense, and Liam realized he was witnessing a high-level battle. The other trolls gasped in awe. Their leader had just evolved into something even stronger, a legendary Gigas, the next stage of troll evolution. Inspired, Liam promised to do the same for all of them. One by one, the trolls transformed, becoming not just warriors, but incredibly skilled laborers. This became apparent when they started helping with construction, easily lifting massive stones. Chris, not one to back down, decided to join in. She tried to lift a heavy sack filled with rocks, only to struggle miserably. Guy smirked. Maybe leave the heavy lifting to me? Chris gritted her teeth. I don't need your help. And then the sack tipped, nearly crushing her. Sighing, Guy caught it effortlessly and set it aside. Chris, red-faced, snapped, "Don't think you've won just because of this," before storming off in embarrassment. Later, after transporting loads of stone to the village, the patrol chief asked Liam what he planned to do with it all. Liam explained that he wanted to extract metals, summoning Gnome and Salamander to help melt the rocks in a forge. Soon, they had gold, copper, silver, and a massive supply of iron. Unfortunately, there was barely any mithril. Raiden, watching Liam's frustration, chuckled. Mithril's hard to find, kid. Better luck next time." But Liam wasn't discouraged. "I'll find another way." Raiden smirked. "Oh? And if you fail?" Liam shrugged. "Failure's just part of the process. You mess up, you try again. That's how magic works." Hearing that, the dragon let out a deep, amused laugh. "You're a strange one, kid." With that, Liam instructed Salamander to melt the iron while Gnome shaped a mold. The real work was about to begin. After finishing up, Liam channeled Raiden's power into the mold. He remembered how Scarlet's armor got a serious power boost after getting a name, so he figured, why not try the same with iron armor? He decided to name it Apollo, after the sun. Because hey, a strong name might just make the armor stronger too. After all, every name he had given in the village seemed to influence how the beings evolved. Sure enough, the result was a magical iron armor, and even Raiden had to admit the kid was onto something. Watching Liam experiment like this was turning out to be pretty entertaining for the old dragon. Later that afternoon, Liam sat down and racked his brain for more powerful names, since he couldn't use the same one twice. Raiden, ever the know-it-all, pointed out that naming things was a basic spell that any human could use. Liam figured that's exactly why repeating a name would probably make it lose its magic. The next day, after a full-blown brainstorming session, Liam managed to create 15 more magic armors, distributing them among 5 elves, 5 werewolves, and 5 gigas. During the first training session, Guy and Chris immediately started brawling again. Watching them go at it, Liam smirked and suggested they should be put on the same team. If they loved each other so much, why not turn their rivalry into motivation? A little internal competition might just make them even stronger. Just then, the air grew heavy as a group of humans on horseback appeared, their smirks full of bad intentions the moment they spotted the elves. Without hesitation, the men charged forward, clearly planning to capture and sell them on the black market. But Rena stayed calm. She whispered something to Mina, who nodded and stepped forward, slowly approaching the men. The bandits assumed she was surrendering, until Mina's fist introduced itself to their leader's face, sending him flying. She followed up with a beautiful takedown, knocking down several of his lackeys like they were bowling pins. Liam watched with pride. The elves, who had once been defenseless, were now warriors capable of protecting themselves, and with these magic armors, they were practically unstoppable. However, just as he was admiring the scene, the bandit leader sneaked up behind him and pressed a knife to his throat. Guy, Chris, and Reyna took one look at the situation and just sighed in relief. The bandit leader blinked, confused. Why the hell weren't these monsters panicking? Before he could figure it out, Liam casually shot a power missile down the man's throat, ending him instantly. The remaining bandits, now thoroughly terrified, turned tail and ran for their lives. After the big win, Liam stepped into the otherworld and summoned a whole squad of Celsius spirits. His order? Get that seawater out of my item box, separate the fresh from the salt, and put both back where they belong. The spirits, ever obedient, got straight to work, boosting the village's water supply for all the new arrivals. Meanwhile, the first Windian to evolve into Celsius approached Liam, eyes full of gratitude. "Master, thank you for everything. My world has expanded so much, I even learned how to possess objects." Liam blinked. "Possess objects? Like ghosts do?" The spirit hesitated. "Kind of. Mid-level spirits can inhabit objects, which is why some weapons and armor have special powers. But I have to be careful. The Spirit King might not like me using this ability too much." Liam raised an eyebrow. "Wait, there's a Spirit King? And no one told me?" Curiosity piqued, Liam decided to test this new ability. He made a pact with the spirit, giving her a new name, Zilla Zero. Then he crafted a fresh suit of armor and had Zero possess it. The result? Absolute success. Liam grinned, feeling like a proud parent. But he wasn't about to stop there. He quickly handed out spirit power armor to his top allies, his excitement growing as he watched them unlock powerful magic abilities. Chris and Rena, still getting used to the energy drain, flopped onto the ground, panting. "Okay, this is amazing, but damn, it's exhausting," Chris groaned. Guide, despite also feeling the strain, stood tall. "No matter how hard it is, I'll use this power to protect our people." Chris and Rena exchanged glances before nodding. "Yeah, same here." Watching them, Liam's mind raced. If he could mass-produce these spirit-infused armors, he'd create an army strong enough to protect the entire nation. But Raiden crossed his arms, looking unimpressed. "You're thinking too small, kid. If a few of these armors make your allies this strong, imagine what would happen if a whole army of superior species wore them. They'd have the power to crush entire nations." Liam scratched his chin. "And that's a bad thing?" Raiden smirked. "Depends on whose hands they fall into." Liam gulped. "Yeah."
The next day, Asuna and Jody were already frustrated because Liam had gone off without telling them where he was headed. He was about to explain, but Asuna let it go under one condition. He had to hand over the money. Liam was confused until Jody reminded him that it was the cash they had asked him to keep safe. The day before, Liam had taken them to a treasure chest overflowing with gold, explaining that they were paid to keep quiet about Raiden. Asumet admitted she would have stayed silent even without payment, while Jody pointed out that their contract with Liam meant they would follow his decisions regardless. Liam tried to clarify, but he decided there was no point in arguing. Instead, he showed them their share. Shocked by the sheer amount, they asked him to hold on to it, since carrying that much money around would be risky. Back in the present, Liam asked what they planned to spend their share on. The two exchanged knowing grins before heading into a store. A while later, they returned with a grimoire, the only ownerless one in town. They figured Liam might be interested, and they were right. He eagerly flipped through the pages, channeling magic into the book, and was instantly rewarded with powerful spells he had never encountered before. Overjoyed by the discovery, he sincerely thanked his companions, who were just as happy to have helped. Later, at the tavern, Liam revealed that he was building a nation. He told them they had a choice: stay in the city or join him on this journey. Without hesitation, they assured him they would go with him. To them, he wasn't just a leader, he was family. Liam, caught between embarrassment and excitement, nodded in acknowledgement. Asuna, always full of energy, was ready to set off immediately, but Liam reminded them that he needed time to master the grimoire first. He summoned the dust box and began practicing, noticing that the activation time decreased with each use. Once he had a firm grasp on the technique, Asuna asked about its function. He explained that it worked similarly to an item box but affected the flow of time inside. As they spoke, a waitress arrived with their food, giving Liam the perfect opportunity to test his new spell. He placed a piece of fish inside the dust box and waited a minute. When he retrieved it, the once fresh meal had completely rotted, filling the air with an unbearable stench. The girls recoiled, realizing that the box rapidly aged whatever was placed inside. Liam immediately saw the potential uses. Spotting a bottle of grape juice on a nearby tray, he put an idea to the test. After placing the juice and yeast inside the dust box for 5 minutes, he pulled out a bottle of perfectly aged wine. Jody took a sniff, instantly recognizing the deep, velvety aroma. The girls were amazed, and Liam realized this technique could be used for more than just wine. It could speed up the fermentation process for soy sauce, pickles, and other preserved foods on a large scale. To test the exact aging rate, he made 10 bottles of juice, placing one inside the dust box every hour. When he finally retrieved them, he poured a sample from each bottle and observed Jody's reaction as she tasted them in succession. She confirmed that the first bottle had aged for 1 year, while the 10th had aged for 10 years. With this, Liam concluded that 1 hour inside the dust box equaled 1 year in real time. With this discovery, they resumed their journey. The group arrived at Liam's new village, a thriving settlement he had been developing alongside his allies. Asuna and Jody were immediately drawn to the liveliness of the place, interacting with the people and taking in the beauty of their new home. That night, a grand banquet was held to welcome them. As always, Chris and Guy reignited their rivalry, this time competing to see who could cook the best meal. Chris proudly presented her monster sheep BBQ, a dish so mouth-watering that Jody and Masoon could barely hold back their excitement. Not to be outdone, Guy countered with an exceptionally flavorful monster cow roast. The two challengers praised each other's skills, but remained determined to win. Meanwhile, Rana introduced the elf special herb and mushroom soup, which could be enhanced with Lime's instant noodles. The variety of flavors overwhelmed the group, and Asuna could no longer resist, diving straight into the food without hesitation. Jody, slightly embarrassed, reminded her to show some restraint, but it was clear that no one minded. Soon the entire group was feasting together, enjoying the well-prepared dishes and sharing in the moment. The next day, the villagers took advantage of the fertile land, harvesting an abundance of fresh fruit. Liam joined in, eager to experiment with new juices and fermentation techniques. With a flourishing settlement, loyal companions, and endless possibilities ahead, his adventure was only just beginning. The group was exploring when Asuna noticed a strange star-shaped fruit she had never seen before. Jody, excited, couldn't wait to try one. Suddenly, Chris and Guy rushed past, their arms full of the fruit, competing to see who had gathered more. Before they could celebrate, Rana scolded them, explaining that taking all the fruit from a tree would stop it from bearing more. Before the argument could continue, screams echoed from the nearby forest. Without hesitation, the group ran toward the source, finding Gon being attacked by a strange creature. Liam quickly launched 17 power missiles, blasting the monster away, but it survived and disappeared deeper into the woods. Liam gave chase but lost track of it. Meanwhile, Guy checked on Gon, only to see his body changing, his expression twisted into something monstrous, almost like the creature that bit him. As if turning into a zombie, Gon attacked Guy, who tried to reason with him, but it was no use. Struggling to restrain him, Guy had no choice but to fight back. Liam stepped in, casting a total purification spell that healed Gon's wound and put him to sleep instantly. Jody suspected it was a vampire infection, something usually incurable, but since Liam had healed him, she was in awe of his power. However, Chris and Guy disagreed, arguing that vampires disintegrated in sunlight. Jody suggested it might be a mutant Dracula, a rare vampire so strong that its underlings could resist the sun. If true, that meant they were facing a major threat. Liam ordered everyone to gather more information. Hours later, a werewolf scout rushed back to the village with urgent news. A horde of 10,000 vampires was spotted just 10 kilometers north. The village's soldiers were vastly outnumbered, and even worse, orcs and goblins had joined the vampire army. Jody was now certain that Dracula was leading them. While vampires usually kept to themselves, this one had turned them into violent conquerors. Liam immediately ordered the evacuation of nearby villages. However, one of the messengers returned, reporting that the villagers refused to leave, believing they could defeat the vampires. Unfortunately, the orc village was soon overrun, its warriors crushed by sheer numbers. Worse, a powerful vampire appeared, and all the lesser ones knelt before him. The defeated orcs were turned into vampires on the spot. Realizing this was the Dracula, Liam knew they had to defeat him first. As night fell, a small squad of 5 villagers prepared to face the approaching horde. Donning magic armor and special gear, Rana cast waterfall to flood the battlefield, followed by explosive attacks from Chris and Guy. Asuna and Jody struck with powerful magic weapons, cutting through the enemy ranks. Watching from a cliff, Liam observed carefully. The team had managed to slow down the horde, but then Dracula himself arrived, blocking their escape. Before he could command his army, Liam teleported in front of him and used a displacement spell to send them both 100 kilometers away. Dracula, unimpressed, mocked Liam's efforts, but Liam was determined. Defeating the vampire lord would end the war. He launched 19 power missiles, but Dracula easily blocked them and vanished, appearing behind Liam in an instant. Though Liam dodged, he was shocked by Dracula's speed. He tried attacking with holy spears, but Dracula simply evaporated and reformed elsewhere. In the next moment, the vampire grabbed Liam and sank his fangs into his neck, only to realize he had bitten an illusion. The real Liam stood nearby, watching closely. Dracula admitted Liam was skilled, but the fight wasn't over. Liam considered using his guardian Raiden's armor for a power boost, but it would drain his mana too fast. He needed to be sure of victory first. Every time he attacked, whether with fire or ice, Dracula simply dissolved and reappeared. Laughing, the vampire declared himself invincible. He wasn't truly alive, so he couldn't truly die. His body was just a vessel that absorbed life energy. That gave Liam an idea. If Dracula wasn't alive, then he could be stored inside the dust box, just like any other inanimate object. Acting quickly, Liam trapped him inside. 10 hours later, equivalent to 10 years inside the dust box, Dracula had entered a state of suspended animation. With no life inside the box, he could do nothing. Liam smiled, realizing he had won. Raiden, watching from afar, laughed at Liam's unconventional strategy. Liam just shrugged. Sometimes, using your head is better than throwing 1,000 fireballs. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching.